that's the story here.
Okay, well, the story is, I want to repeat it one more time like I'm Hugh Hauser, right?
Okay.
The story is that if you're a millennium or even older, and if you want to get a place to live rather than rent, then look at buying a property that has a rental on it, and on that rental property that will help you qualify to buy the property.
Now,
So Phil, we promised our viewers that we're going to talk about real estate rentals, and I'm going to bring up the subject right away that we just talked about was, what's the reason for having an LLC if you have a rental?
again, it's protection. It's protecting your from a lawsuit, from liability, and you can explain more in detail what that is. But that's my blanket statement. It's just to protect you from a lawsuit. You have tenants, you have people working, come into your property, and we're in a very litigious state and county, LA, where we have more lawyers per capita than I think anywhere in the country. So we constantly have to be protecting our property and our real estate from lawsuits.
Okay, but there is an alternative. You said you could buy insurance too.
You can buy a blanket policy on your own home, and you have to talk to your insurance man for I think $1 million, which is very cheap, very reasonable, which I do recommend. For investment properties, I don't know what that costs, but yes, it is an alternative, but it only limits you to so much, because lawsuits can be very expensive, and they don't have to be legitimate. Anyone can apply to sue you, and you have to defend yourself. And this is the problem, because if someone serves you and you don't respond, you're going to lose by default. So just to protect yourself, to respond, to go to court, you're going to probably have to get a lawyer. And if you don't do that, it's an automatic loss for you. So you need insurance, you need a good attorney, and that policy will protect you. But what if it's beyond that? People are suing for tremendous amounts of money, and there's a lot of lawyers in LA County, and they're all out of, not all, but a lot of them are out of work, and they're looking for opportunities. I'm not saying they're bad, but again, it's just very smart to protect yourself. Get that blanket policy. Ask your insurance agent about that. Even if you don't have investment property, if you're just a homeowner, if someone falls on your front yard, if someone slips on a ladder helping you put a light bulb in, you're liable. So that blanket policy, which anyone can get, if you talk to your insurance agent, is very, very reasonable. I know my kids have it on their property, and thank God they haven't had to use it, but I know people have had to use it. So yeah, that's an alternative.
Okay, well, I just want to bring that up, and because you'll see, I have a few clients that have LLCs for their rentals, but I don't have that many. But I'm saying that it's a question for a real estate man. And you're saying, yeah, it's important to have that protection.
You got to have that protection, and again, you have to have not a lawyer on call. It depends how much property you have, but you need that accountant too. All these people part of your team, and that LLC, I'm surprised you don't know about more people on there, because most of the investors that I know are protected. And I don't know if it's an LLC. I don't know what other corporations are available for them, but they're constantly looking to protect not only their investment, but their own personal property that they live in.
Right. Well, that's another subject for entities, and I don't want to get into that for the LLC, the S corporation, the C corporation, and the partnerships and all that other stuff that you could be involved with. But anyway, we'll just bring that up I don't see that many, and you're saying if the smart investors are doing it.
The ones that I've seen, the ones that I hear about, the brokers, most of the brokers I've worked with all have investment properties, and they always recommend get everything incorporated.
Right. And the answer is that's expensive, because every year you got to call me up and I have to file the tax return for you. Right. And you have to pay $800 if you're in California. You have to pay $800 a year for your entity. So minimum tax on that. So it's not a cheap thing to do. All right. The next thing I was going to bring up though is that, and I was going to bring that up with that. Two things I'm going to bring up. First is the 1099. It's the opinion of Franchise Tax Board, and I think IRS is following it too, is that if you don't 1099 your gardener for your rental property, then you can't deduct it. They want 1099s on all independent contractors.
Okay, wait a minute. Well, how about Okay, so as an investor, the electrician, the plumber, the gardener, everyone needs to be 1099.
Yeah.
And that is
over $600.
over 600, and that's to qualify for a deduction on your taxes.
That's right.
Huh. Well, what? So what's
the truth of the matter is,
so
I'll be very honest with you. Probably 80-90% of my tax customers don't 1099 their gardener.
So
or the other handymans and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so now there's no choice in this. It has to be done now.
It's supposed to be done.
What's involved with this?
And
is
so
it expensive?
If you don't get an audit, you won't. You can take the. But if you get an audit, you could lose that deduction.
So what's involved to do that? It's just
you
more
just have
paperwork,
Yeah, you have to get the form from a W-3 and a W-2. A W-3 and a 1099 miscellaneous form, and get their tax number and fill out the report and send it off to IRS every year. Okay,
now what about this? I just thought about this. You have to issue that to the gardener.
Yeah.
Right? What if the gardener? Does the gardener need a Social Security number?
Yes.
What if he doesn't have one?
Then you can't take the deduction.
Don't some of the, regardless of where country they came from, don't some have a federal ID even though they don't have a Social Security number?
Oh no, they have a TIN, which is a
TIN, yeah.
Temporary identification number.
But if they don't have a number, you cannot.
If you don't have an ID number, you can't use it.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's got to be a IRS ID.
So this can be a problem if you've been working with a gardener and he doesn't have a number.
Yeah.
And you tell him, you know what, from now on, I'm going to have to issue a 1099. He said, no,
Yeah.
I can't. I don't accept it.
And they quit.
And they quit on you.
Yeah, they quit on you. Yeah. You
because what if
you?
Okay, yeah.
Right. And all the other handymans and all the rest of that stuff too.
Everyone has.
Yeah, but like I say, it's 70% of my, and I hope nobody gets audited because I tell them that.
Wow.
But I mean, I've warned them. I've warned them about it, so that's my job, is to warn them.
Right.
And then what they put on their tax return is up to them, as long as it's not fraudulent. And I know it's not fraudulent.
Because I know we'll talk a little bit about this pretty soon, but that's one of the attributes of investing is tax ramifications when you're an investor.
Oh yeah.
And taking advantage of the tax benefits.
Right.
So if you got to know of that, and you got to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other one we brought up last week, and I'll bring it up again, and then we're going to get into your subjects, is that if you have a rental property and you converted it from a personal residence or a vacation property, you need to establish it as a business. Mm-hmm. And that's where I brought up that LLC. If you moved it to an LLC, that would establish it as a business. So, and then if you have a loss, then you can take that loss as a business loss. If you don't, if it's a vacation home, you can't take the loss on that because it's a personal property, and personal property doesn't get a deduction. Only if they only tax on the gain, they don't give you the loss on the personal property.
Okay, as a layman, Don, what do you mean a business? That means you have a different form to fill out for taxes? Is that what that means?
Yeah, you're filling out. No, not only do you fill out a Schedule E, which is your rental report, right? I got this much income, I got this much property taxes, right? That's Schedule E, but you got to establish that it's really a business, right? And Schedule E's are businesses, but you got to prove that you're treating it as a business. In other words, if you have a Schedule E, but you're turning around and you're using it part time for you, and there's a question on there, but if you're using it part time as your ski lodge for your personal, then it's not a business.
Okay, so if I had a rental property and I have my kids in there and they're not paying me any rent, I can get into trouble because I'm treating it as a business, but I'm using it more as an extension of my home.
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't smell or look or taste like a business, so IRS could come down and...
Your relatives have to pay you the same amount you would charge for a stranger.
Ah, okay.
That's simple, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so anyway, now, Phil, it's your turn. Tell me all the things that we need to know about rental properties.
Well, okay, let me put this in a nutshell because I know we're limited on time, but...
Well, you got 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Big 20 minutes.
Well, we talked a little bit before the opportunities right now that I believe are out there for business and investment properties. and how I think unlike any time before, it's even more accessible and possible for the regular guy out in the street to get involved, because we used to think, I don't have the money, I cannot afford, I cannot qualify for investment property, for apartments, so forth and so on. But we have a couple of things that are lining up here that I think are the perfect storm for people to jump into the investing in property as a business, because when you have investment property, you have you're creating another stream of income, an asset, or you should be income coming in aside from your regular job. You have the benefit of taxes as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's for you. And then you also have the benefit of appreciation, where this property, if it's real estate, generally speaking, is going to go up in value over time. And we have a problem here in California, and that's I just got this my monthly magazine from real estate from the California Association of Realtors, and it's talking about what they call generation rent, which is Generation Y, or the millennials. Now, this is a refresher for me, but the age group for millennials, do you know what that is, Don?
No.
25 to 35.
Oh.
Okay, those are the millennials. And some of the things they have in common is that they don't want to rent, they don't want to live at home with their parents, they want to buy. But the problem is the median price in California, I just saw, is $546,000
For a house.
for a single family home,
Single family home.
which is saying that they cannot afford to buy. They cannot qualify, they cannot afford to buy. So therefore they're renting, and rentals, the rental market is going up.
Well, my next question to you on that 500,000 is, what's the ROI on that? How much do you think that's going to go up in the next 20 years?
Well, real estate has always been in cycles, and just like everything, there's expansion and contraction. Right now, we've been in an expansion period, and we've been doing very good since '08 when we had the big crash and the contraction. Now, I understand that we're due for another contraction again because of these bubbles of just outpricing people that can buy. And somehow or other, the pendulum swings both back and forth till it settles in the middle, and then we have some equilibrium. But think about this. I was just doing the figures, and I'm not a lender, and this is something you should deal with your lender. Let's say a $550,000 home, your payments on that, on the average, everything being equal, will be around $2,952 a month. That's almost $3,000. Now, to qualify, generally speaking, your mortgage should be around a third of your gross monthly income.
Right.
So now, if your payment is going to be $3,000, that means that you need to be making $9,000 a month,
Exactly.
which is over $108,000 a year.
Yeah.
How many millennials are doing that?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, again, so that presents a problem. The problem is they need a place to live, and they need a place to rent, and so the supply is coming down on that, on income properties, and the demand is going up, and it's going to continue going up. Now, with that being the case, FHA, and I brought these numbers. FHA, I don't know if you know what the limits are.
No.
But in LA County, you can get up to 4 units. You can buy 1 to 4 units FHA loan, which is much more lenient than a conventional loan. And the limits are this in LA County. For a single family, it's $625,000. Okay. For 2 units, it's $800,000. For 3 units, it's $967,000. For a 4-unit complex, it's $1.2 million. Okay. Now, by the way, the limits, the only place that's higher than LA County, guess.
New York.
It's a good guess, but no, it's Honolulu. 1.38, almost $1.4 million for an FHA loan. I don't know how much that's going to get you, but that's what they say. So anyway, okay, so here's these kids. They're not kids, but the millennials. They cannot afford to buy a home. Okay, they're coming out of college. How many people are getting jobs that are going to pay them $100,000 a year? So they got to rent. So rents are going up. So now, FHA still has incredibly good financing available to them, and if you can afford, and again, you need to talk to your lender, there are properties in different places of LA County. Obviously, they're not going to be in the best places, but that you can get for a single family home for $200,000, a duplex for $300,000, so forth and so on. Yeah, they may be out in Palmdale, Lancaster, or may have to even go to San Bernardino County, out to Apple Valley, or anyway. The point is, there's property available there if you're willing to do the work, and investors are doing this. On the other side of this, we have a lot of money coming from outside the country that are buying mega apartment buildings. I'm talking 100+ units and above, $10 million properties and above, big stuff, commercial property. A lot of money coming from outside the country, taking advantage of investment property. But for the little guy, for the regular guy, there's a great opportunity right now, Don, to go out there. So what are they going to get again? If they can afford, they can buy a little rental property, a single family. However, they do have to be occupied. So we're talking a duplex, triplex, or quad, and you must occupy one of those. It's a stipulation, okay, one of the units. But they will be able to use the other units as income to qualify. So think about that. Even if you're, especially what if you're a millennial, okay, and you don't want to be a landlord, but let's say you got a duplex or a triplex, you could use part of that income to qualify for your loan. And that's going to get you your own place, but yeah, you may have to have tenants that you're going to have to deal with, but that's an opportunity right there for you to get into your own place. You're going to take advantage of the taxes, right? You're going to take advantage of the appreciation, and you're also going to take advantage of, if you do it right and do your homework, that extra income. So you have all these benefits here, and of course, as the people who have mega units, they all started small, and they took advantage of the taxes, and they also took advantage, and we could talk about that another time, the 1031 exchange, where they can defer their capital gains, which is a monumental advantage. And the problem too, Don, with that, we don't know how long that's going to last, because we know right now the IRS is trying to swoop down to take that 1031 exchange away from us.
Obama's trying to take it away.
Okay, let's say Obama, and the CAR, the California Association, National Association of Realtors, is lobbying big time, heavy in Washington and Sacramento to stop that from happening. Because if that happens, it's going to be a monumental roadblock for investors, because that's one of the biggest tools they have in their toolbox to reinvest and to take advantage of the tax benefits of rental properties. So the small guy can do this. He can start small, and that's my point. You know, whether you're just a regular guy and you need more income, you need to get into business for yourself, think about that. Getting some rental properties, starting with something you can afford. Talk to your tax man, talk to your lender, and talk to your realtor. There's opportunity out there. It might not be easy at first, but start small, and if you want, and if things work out good, you'll grow. I know of a guy, and I can't mention his name. He was a very, very prosperous realtor out in the San Fernando Valley, and I shadowed him, this was many years, to see what he did on a daily basis. And one of the things this guy used to do, this guy was a millionaire. He made millions of dollars. He was a phenomenal realtor. And what he took pride in is he would take an average guy that he would meet, or one of his clients, and he would eventually, after 7 to 10 years, have this guy owning 20, 30 unit apartment building, but starting from one little duplex. I said, really? He said, yeah. He says, we get him started, you know, and he may not have enough credit or income, but we'll get a co-signer, maybe one of the kids or someone they know. We'll get him, and he had a little plan, and he showed it to me. I still have it, and this was around 13 years ago, and he had a little graph, a little plan, how every 2-3 years they take advantage of the tax situation and the
$250,000 exclusion on profit
and the 1031.
Yeah.
And so for every so many years, but get this, either they would move it up, or they would pay it off in cash and keep adding to their portfolio. So some of these guys had not only their 20, 30 units, but they had all the other units they had in the meantime every 2-3 years that they bought something else. Free and clear. Now, granted, that was an exception to the rule, but as a rule, these guys eventually got themselves up to mega units, and they were making tremendous income, and obviously they were not retiring, but they were able to leave their jobs, leave what they were doing, and just manage their properties. Take advantage of the taxes, take advantage of the income, take advantage of the appreciation, and at a certain point to say, you know what, I'm happy here, I don't need any more money. So he took great pride in doing that, and frankly, he wanted me to do it, and I just never did it. But my wife and I are committing to start this program, which is getting an investment property, starting this year or no later than next year. And regardless of the market, regardless of what it is, just do it, because at my age, I should be a lot better off than I am, and I did not plan for correctly, and I need to have passive income coming in. And I see taxes are getting more and more unfriendly, and I should have done this, but I'm going to start doing it, and that's the story here.
Okay, well, the story is, I want to repeat it one more time like I'm Huell Hauser, right?
Okay.
The story is that if you're a millennium or even older, and if you want to get a place to live rather than rent, then look at buying a property that has a rental on it, and on that rental property, that will help you qualify to buy the property.
Now, that's the story here.
Okay, well, the story is, I want to repeat it one more time like I'm Huell Hauser, right?
Okay.
The story is that if you're a millennium or even older, and if you want to get a place to live rather than rent, then look at buying a property that has a rental on it, and on that rental property, that will help you qualify to buy the property.
Now, that's the story here.
Okay, well, the story is, I want to repeat it one more time like I'm Huell Hauser, right?
Okay.
The story is that if you're a millennium or even older, and if you want to get a place to live rather than rent, then look at buying a property that has a rental on it, and on that rental property, that will help you qualify to buy the property.
Now, there's a caveat to that.
Okay.
You got to remember, it's got to be a legal 2, 3, 4 unit, because a lot of people are doing additions to the garage, so forth and so on.
That's a good
And
caveat.
It's a single family house, but
Right.
even though they have a lot of rent, and I
never thought about that, but it's got to be a place that's a duplex.
It's legally
duplex,
two-
or
two-
fourplex.
2, 3, or 4 units.
Right.
Okay, and you have to live in one of the units, because a little side note, I used to do what they call broker price opinions for banks that were going into foreclosure, and I've done quite a few condominiums that had 3 or 4 bedrooms, and every bedroom had tenants in there. No, seriously.
So did they qualify as a multi-unit?
No, it was a condominium, and the
Yeah.
guy knew he was going to be foreclosed on. But, back in 08, 09,
Yeah.
it took 2, 3 years for some of these foreclosed. In the meantime, he wasn't making any payments,
Yeah.
and he was collecting on 3 or 4 tenants
Yeah.
there in his condo.
Right.
So anyway, my point is, it's got to be a legal multi-unit, up to 4 units. Because once you get beyond 4 units, FHA is not involved, and it's now a commercial loan.
Well, we just think all our people that are listening to us are legals. So.
Okay, I agree.
But that's such great advice. I mean, that's the secret. This I have to publicize this as a secret way to get financing to move into a home.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a secret way. I never heard of that before.
Yeah.
That you can use the income from the other unit to be part of your qualifying income.
Now, let me ask you this, and I hope I don't get you into a mess here, Don. But let's say I have I have 2 units, and I'm renting one, obviously, and I do sell, and I don't take advantage of the tax exchange. What's my tax ramification on capital gains?
Oh,
unlike
okay.
a single family, I get my $250 or $500.
Yeah, no, it's 50-50, or you allocate it by square feet, whichever unit has the most square feet.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, you're right. Now, so what happens is, let's just say that you bought a duplex for $250,000. Okay, you sell it for $450,000. Okay, so that's 125 versus 225. Okay, so that one unit you live into, if you lived it 2 out of 5 years, there'll be no income tax on that one, no capital gains tax on that. Okay, but the other one, there's going to be capital gains taxes on it.
Okay.
And if you took depreciation on it, they're going to have to pay back the depreciation taxes on the depreciation, right?
Right.
But if your income is such that you're below in the 15 or 10% so far, then that's not going to have capital gains on it for the first $70,000.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the other thing is that even if it does have capital gains on it, it's only going to be at 20%.
Okay.
So and don't forget, Uncle Brown is going to want his 8 or 9% on it too. But that's how you treat it. So yeah, you made $100,000 and you have to give them back $20,000. You still got $80,000 to go buy another piece of property. Plus your $250,000 or your $225,000 you got on your own piece of property.
Well, most of the time,
it's not tax free, but you're not losing that much either.
Well, again, it's like the 1031. It's not tax free. It's tax what?
Deferred.
Deferred. You're just kicking the can down the road, right?
Yeah.
But still, even if you have your own home, where else can you get the benefit of 250 tax free?
Right.
Or 500 if you're married,
yeah.
Right?
Right.
So if you're, again, a millennial or anyone that, like you say, cannot afford your own home, why not dig in and start checking out even a duplex, rent out the other one, help you qualify, and you're going to take because if I need to have the roof fixed, is that a deduction if it's a duplex? If I have to buy the garden hose to water, is that a deduction?
Yes.
And,
now, I say yes, but you're going to have to allocate.
Okay, so we allocate.
Yeah.
But if I have my own home and I don't have
any of those deductions,
there's none of those available to me. But if I have, again, a living and I have, look at all the deductions, I got extra income, and I have appreciation still working all the time on me.
Right.
So great benefits.
Okay, guys, we're at our limit today, but I think you've done a great job for me, Phil. You've given people, number one, you gave them the secret. But number two is we've covered so much taxes, talk about real estate I can't believe that this hasn't been a great program.
Well, believe me, and again, remember, you better have a guy like Don on your side because you want to check with him before you do this. Don't call him after you do it, but before.
Thank you.